Hey there, welcome to the DFS Build NBA Edition. I'm Kevin Roberts, getting ready to go over the DraftKings main slate. Nice 5-game slate on Thursday at DK. The goal is to help you win. Handed out some decent core plays yesterday. Brandon Williams certainly got there. Najee was Plumlee and Shed were probably going to get there. They had 11 and 12 going into the half. Plum got ejected, which was really annoying. And then Shed, which impossibly worse than one of you guys getting ejected. Dude got benched and just never came back. No foul trouble, no injury designation. What? I don't know what that was about, but losing both those two dudes in our core, it was brutal. I did enough different elsewhere that I was able to cash, and we did have some nice big wins in Discord, so that was really cool to see. But brutal end of the night because boy, oh boy, were we in great shape. We had so many money calls. Trae Young, Miles Bridges, Desmond Bane was pretty good. Just so many good plays and just completely ruined by two seemingly good chalky plays that just did not hit because of freak circumstances. It's onward and upward. We're going to get it tonight for sure. We're going to get some big wins in our big win channel, and hopefully any new users can be a part of that. The way you got to do that is come into Discord so we can talk shop going into lock. And you can get access to our core plays via Patreon. Hopefully this video helps you out. If it does, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel so you get alerted to future videos just like this. The way we do it, we go position by position, going over all our favorite plays. And here, let's get everybody on there. And just factor in ownership and matchup and all that stuff to try to point you in the right direction. So question number one on this slate is undoubtedly going to be, do we pay $12K for Luka Doncic? The matchup with the Bucks is not that difficult. Obviously, he could see a lot of Damian Lillard. He's matchup proof anyways. He played against a slow Nets team and got a triple-double of 62 fantasy points in his last game. Big thing we want to know there with no LeBron. He played 41 minutes, 26 shot attempts. He only hit 8 of them. So if Luka actually hits his shots tonight, then pretty decent chance he gets 70-plus fantasy points and pays off the salary. So I do like Luka quite a bit. I'm not alone. The field is coming in at 34%. I think if I was running a lot of lineups, I would go over that. The reality is there's only one other guy that can really reach his ceiling, and that's going to be Giannis. We'll talk about him a little bit later. That said, if Luka just kind of comes in at, just getting there or lower, like if he comes in at like 60, 65 fantasy points, I think that's survivable on this slate because there's a lot of really good second tier options. And there are other guys. There's Giannis and of course Cade. Cade is $2,000 cheaper than Luka. The projection obviously drops quite a bit, but you're getting half the ownership and a guy that he has done like 70, 75 fantasy point outings, and he does get the Wizards. If that game stays close, Cade is going to absolutely smash. So I do not mind Cade as a leverage on Luka ownership right now at all. He's just a really good play in a vacuum. He had the same matchup just a couple days ago, and sure enough, 54 fantasy points in only 31 minutes against the Wizards, 39% usage rate. There's no Ivy, obviously, still for the Pistons. So can the game stay close? That's the only concern there. If it can, you're going to be really happy about playing Cade. I'm actually warming up to Steph Curry as well. Steph Curry is facing the Kings, who are 30th in three-point percentage and 28th in three-point makes allowed per game. They don't have De'Aaron Fox to follow him around anymore. It's in Golden State. Like, Curry's been a different dude with Jimmy Butler there too. So Jimmy Butler's opened things up for him. He's kind of revitalized him. And if we look back at his game log here, Curry's had a lot of green, man. 73, 59, 55, 52. A little bit quieter the last couple of games. Wasn't really needed as much. And just, couldn't hit his shots really in the most recent game. But I do not mind betting on Curry. He's going to be way under-owned. Like, the price is not great, right? 9.7K for Curry, pushing 10K. The projection's okay. Certainly, if we're just looking at like who are the plays here, Luka is like the best high ceiling play of the slate, and Cade is probably the best dollar for dollar spend on the slate right now at 10.3K. He projects better than Curry. He's not that much more expensive than Curry. He's not that much more owned than Curry. So, like, logically speaking, Cade's the better play. Cade looks really, really good. If I was playing 20 lineups, I would get to Cade like in 15 of those lineups, maybe, if I was only looking between, Cade and Curry. But I do want to be overweight on Curry here. I think, 10, 15% here on Curry is not too bad. That is quite the late game hammer. His game starts 2 hours after the last game of the night. And it's a really good matchup, seriously. So I think Curry's a really good GPP play, even though the projection doesn't blow me away. Dame at 9K is totally fine against the Lakers here. I just never get really excited about him unless Giannis is out. It's just my rule with Dame. Dame can pop off for 50 real points. You just don't know. So certainly he's a fine play, but at 9K, I think he's just way too high over Austin Reeves. And then you could just keep going further to cater Steph, who I feel better about. Funny thing is, his projection is very close to Steph's, but I just think Curry, based off the ownership, is a more interesting play. So up top, it's Luka, but if we go down 7.5K, Austin Reeves, he looks pretty damn good here. He's got the same matchup against the Bucks. No LeBron's benefiting him as well. He had almost a triple-double last game. He hit 3 of 14 shots and still had 44 fantasy points. He is going to have monster usage. He's gaining a lot of steam here, 29% ownership, but for good reason. He's not expensive. He's not in a brutal spot. He's going to get massive minutes, and he's going to have really good usage. And he's just, it's just him and Luka, really. So I think it looks good. I don't know if I'd really feel amazing about paying 12K for Luka and then coming back with 7.5K Austin Reeves. So I would consider splitting them up in a good chunk of lineups, maybe setting a rule, whatever lineup optimizer you use. Is it impossible for you to pair them? No, because he's like basically a cheap LeBron in a sense. Like if you can get LeBron at 7.5K, that's appealing. I just think splitting them maximizes your upside. Is it likely that they both get 60 fantasy points tonight? Probably not. And Luka's just the better bet with his natural ceiling. So fading chalky Reeves doesn't feel great, but neither does fading chalky Luka. You're just going to have to pick your spot there. You can pair them if you'd like. I just don't think I will. Cam Thomas, it's a significant drop after him, by the way. So Cam Thomas at 6.4K, really good value, amazing matchup with the Bulls. Last game, we saw him get up to 31 minutes, 22 shot attempts. So I love the minutes. I love the volume. 31% usage rate. I mean, look at this game log here. Just in general, the dude will chuck it. So the Bulls are really as good as it gets in terms of a matchup. So I like Cam Thomas quite a bit. 6.4 is a good price. The ownership is high. Not super excited to play Cam Thomas into ownership, especially since the projection isn't like through the roof. But he has a massive ceiling as a scorer. He can go out there and score 40 real points in the flash, especially in this spot. So I do like him quite a bit. It's just going to come down to like what kind of build are we doing? How much do we really want to prioritize Cam Thomas? Because there are other values, and specifically at guard. Malik Monk, not really into him with Sabonis probably back. Not really into him anyways because you have Levine and DeMar, and they just kind of eat into each other. CJ McCollum, good price, terrible spot against the Magic. Jordan Poole, Pistons are better defensively than people give him credit for. Jordan Poole's like the ultimate GPP play. He's priced out, and the matchup isn't great, and the projection, the minutes, like nothing really actually looks good for him. But that also means nobody will be on him. He does have a ceiling, so if the game stayed close, and the game is like a 237 total, if it stays close, he could absolutely pop off. Kind of a sneaky stackable game just because it does have a 14-point spread, but Wizards can be pesky sometimes. If he plays 35 minutes in this game and pops off with a lot of points, he could be a slate nuker for sure. I don't think you need to do that though. Two big reasons: Cole Anthony, Trey Jones. They're two of the guys at guard that look like really, really good value plays. I tend to lean Trey Jones for sure, just because we know what chalky Cole Anthony season feels like. Cole Anthony's only 4.9. He does have a good usage rate because there's no Jalen Suggs there. 20% or more in each of the last 4 games. We know his floor, 12, 18, but he also has a really nice ceiling, and the Pels are a dream spot. I have no problem with Cole Anthony, but if you don't want to eat all the chalk in the world, I also have no problem with fading him and just playing Trey. Trey Jones is only $100 more. He's projected for more minutes, slightly better overall projection, a little bit more ownership, but like you can't play everybody, but you also can't fade everybody. I think Trey Jones is good chalk. There is no Giddey, no Ayo Dosunmu, no Lonzo Ball. He's got to play. He's already been playing. He's got to play like 30 to 35 minutes, and that's what you can expect here. Not always the highest usage guy, but I anticipate him being a pretty darn good bet to get 30 to 35 fantasy points in this DFS environment. I don't mind D'Lo at 5.1, but I think other Nets like Cam Thomas and Cam Johnson stand out a little bit more. If you want to play him as a little bit less owned option compared to Trey Jones or Cole Anthony, I think it's fine. I just don't think he sets up as nicely as they do. I mean, the matchup with the Bulls is better than the matchup the other two guys have. No denying that. So D'Lo's good. I wish his ownership was a little bit lower if I was going to take a risk on him. However, so I would rather go get Cam Thomas if I'm going to go play a net today. Bob Carrington, if he's getting the minutes and the game stays close, I think he's okay, just not a priority on this slate. Yeah, Gabe Vincent, he's been getting run. He had 33 minutes last game. If he's going to get the burn, I think he's an okay play, but at 4.5, his price is ticking up. And I don't think we should feel really good. I'd monitor Javon Carter in case he gets like minutes or a random spot start or something. But not really into doing that. All right, I think that does it for point guard. Moving on to shooting guard. Austin Reeves leads the way there with the best projection. He is an awesome play. If you don't want to use him at point guard, you can slide him over here. Kobe White also looks really, really good. If you want to fade Trey Jones and play one of those other values instead, or you want to pair him with another Bulls guard who's in for a ton of usage, that would be Kobe White. He's going to be owned, but he's got a good projection. He's going to play a bunch of minutes, and he's going to have a really, really high usage rate with all those Bulls guards out. It's worth noting that Brooklyn does play slow, but the Nets also don't have like the best defense. I think their defensive stats kind of get a bump from playing so slow. It makes them come off a little bit better defensively than they are. Now, if they can dictate the pace and keep the game slow, then that will still come to fruition, and like, you know, the Bulls will suffer because of it. So hopefully the Bulls, being one of the fastest paced teams in the league and being poor defensively, will get them all to go out and run a bit. Shooting guard starts falling off after that. Murphy, Levine, Monk, I feel like they're all overpriced. Are they okay plays? Sure. Levine's like way too expensive with Sabonis back. So I'm not doing that. Like, that is like an ultimate GPP play, I guess, because nobody's going to be on him at that price point. Like, Levine's capable of just popping off for 40 points. So never ruled out completely, but if I'm trying to whittle things down and really just go after the guys I feel great about, Murphy, Levine, and Monk just are not making the cut for me. Cole Anthony, again, looks good. Have no problem with that. Kevin Huerter looks really, really good at 4.3K. He's going to get minutes, should start. Good spot here. In theory, the game environment could be really good. Are the Nets like a dream matchup? Not really. But I think they could get out there and run just because the game is in Chicago, and the Bulls, as the home team, could dictate the pace a little bit. I think the usage rate 20% in each of the last 3 games. That looks pretty good. I think he'll let it fly here, and I think he can hit at that nice 4.3K tag. Another guy that looks really, really good is Dalton Knecht down here at 4.8K. He played 41 minutes last game, and honestly, I could stop right there. Him, Luka, and Reeves are just going to kind of run this offense. 26 fantasy points is nothing to write home about, but at 4.8K, I'm willing to take a chance on the field goal attempts and the minutes. 19% usage rate for his price and who he is not that bad either. And he's just going to get open looks with Reeves and Luka doing all their isolation stuff too. All right, not really sure. You know, I mentioned Jordan Goodwin, Gabe Vincent. I think Goodwin is a better play. I think Gabe Vincent, because Gabe Vincent, if he's not hitting all his threes, is going to do a whole lot of nothing. Goodwin is risky for sure, but if he can get 20-plus minutes at 3.6K, I think he's an okay punt. But for sure, I am looking at Knecht, Huerter, Cole Anthony, and then the Spencer, Austin Reeves, and Kobe White. Kobe White can also be used as small forward, so that can come in handy for sure. Right now, though, small forward up top is Franz Wagner at 8.4K. Hey, he's facing the Pels. I don't have a problem with it. He and Ben Caro are a little bit expensive relative to the slate. I think if it's going to pay all the way up here, it probably would be, I mean, I think Kobe White is as high as I want to go at small forward. I like Kobe White here. I like Cam Thomas here. I like Kevin Huerter here. Zion is the ultimate GPP play. You're talking about like Zach LaVine before. Zion at least has like an absurd usage rate, 30% like every game. It's just disgusting. Even in a brutal matchup against the Clippers, 56 fantasy points. Don't really like the idea of playing him against the Magic in a game that has a 228 total or 218 total. Like it's pretty bleak. But the Magic honestly have not been as good defensively lately. So if we're to buy into that, this could actually be kind of a sneaky game for stacking with a 3-point spread. And if you buy into that, like Zion's projection, not good. Price, not good. Matchup, not good. But sub 7% ownership, good. I don't mind that. Just not a priority. Just total GPP flyer play. Malik Beasley gets the Wizards. I'm okay with it. 5.4. I just think there's better values that I've already touched on. Moses Moody looks pretty good at 4.9. Pajemski is still out. So Moody's going to get like 29 to 35 minutes, depending on how the game goes. He lacks a ceiling. He can bring a low floor to the table, but if he's going to get 30 plus minutes, I think he's a fair value at that price. Zaire Williams, with D'Lo back, I think he takes a little bit of a hit overall. Like, he's been decent. I know he was good last game with 30 fantasy points, like 30, 29, 29. At that price, if you think he can get you that at 4.8, I don't think that's bad at all. Tim Hardaway Jr. is extremely scoring dependent, but he's facing the Wizards. Last game against the Wizards, he did have 23 fantasy points. The minutes are kind of fluctuating. He's got to hit all the shots because he does nothing else. I don't love it, but at 4.1K, you could do worse. The Pels are down a ton of bodies. They're also without Nisi tonight, plus Olenek, plus all the other guys have been without for weeks. So Bruce Brown at 4K flat, not the worst. 29 minutes his last game. I do not hate him as a value. I think he looks pretty good here from a minutes perspective. Like all the other Pels, the matchup with Orlando does stink. All right, then that does it for small forward. On to power forward we go. Giannis leads the way here, 58 fantasy point projection, second best projection of the slate. Right now, he is lower owned than Luka, so that is interesting, especially since he's a little bit cheaper than Luka. And who on the Lakers is going to stop Giannis? Nobody. So I think Giannis is a really good play here. Not somebody I'm getting to a lot because of the price, and I do prefer Luka just because there's no LeBron. He gets that massive usage lift. And just I think he offers the higher ceiling here. But Giannis is right there with him, man. So if Giannis is going to be way less owned, I think Giannis is a really interesting leverage play up top. Paolo Banchero against the Pels. Projection's amazing. He himself has not really been that great. Like, for the price, like 40, 42, it's fine. Like, he does have these spike games, 59 and 73. Like, that's cool. I'm glad to see that. But like, in equally smashed spots, like Raptors 36, Bulls 34, Wizards 33, Grizzlies 33, like, just he and this Magic team really are disappointing in a lot of obviously good spots, whether it just be a blowout or whether it just be like the ancillary pieces for Orlando end up hitting, or it's Wagner and then it's Banchero, like they just take turns. Whatever the case, Banchero doesn't always hit, man. Like, a lot of time he just does not hit. So is he a good play in a vacuum? Yes. Good projection, great matchup. I don't love the price. Or the ownership, but he's in theory, he's a good play. I don't want to get to him really, because I feel like I'd rather go down to Jimmy Butler at 7.9, or I'd rather go put my money into like Kobe White or Austin Reeves just because the massive usage bumps there. And then if I'm going to spend, I want to go get Luka, Cade, Giannis. So it's kind of like in no man's land. And if you're going to do that, I think somebody who's a little bit more interesting would be Zion at a similar price, similar projection at no ownership. I think he's just a more interesting play in tournaments. Why are we playing Banchero, who's consistently disappointed us? Why are we playing him into ownership? I don't know. Cam Johnson looks really good here at 6'1". The projection does not blow you away, but the Bulls are such a good spot that I do not really care about that. He's been rock solid, 37, 40, 42, way outperforming his price tag. So I like him quite a bit at 6'1". Him and Cam Thomas are really fun to pair together. And obviously, I don't need to tell you, the Nets and Bulls game is extremely stackable. And honestly, it's super easy to get to. Kobe is the most expensive play in that game that I have interest in. So if you want to just fully stack that game, or at least to the point where you're stacking the guys that we really feel good about, like, I have no problem with that. Tobias is getting good minutes, and he's facing the Wizards. Don't really love the price or the projection, but I think that's an okay play. Buzelis is another guy who looks really interesting. He's not like smashing or anything. Not really great last two games, but like he does get it going every now and then. Should get close to 30 minutes here. The direct matchup with the Nets is not amazing, but the game environment could be. So at 4.8K, I think he's a solid value. Champagny, if he starts again at 4.9, I don't mind that against the Pistons. It's kind of a similar spot. Again, Pistons are not a bad defensive team, but if he starts at 4.9 and is going to have a shot at like 30 fantasy points, I don't hate it. I think it's an okay play. I think I prefer Moses Moody just because we feel better about his minutes with no Pajemski there. And matchup with the Kings is not scary whatsoever. Kings are not good at defending the outside, and he's just naturally a good scorer. So Makovic with both Misi and Olenek out, he looks good at 4.2. Terrible matchup, good price, good situation, and increased role. So I don't have a problem with him at all. It's just sometimes the matchup is bigger and badder than everything else that looks good, right? Similar price point, Vanderbilt at 4.3 against the Bucks. He looks pretty good for value with the Lakers down all their bigs. Doesn't really do a lot, but 26 to 30 minutes out of him seems like an okay try at that price. Kuminga should be back, so it's possible that impacts Moody a bit. It should impact Dre a bit. Maybe it impacts Jimmy as well. I don't know, but I would imagine he's limited. He's missed a lot of time. So just keep that in mind. Dorian Finney-Smith, very low floor, but he gets good minutes, 32-minute projection at 4.9. I think that's an okay play we can keep in our pool. And that's probably it. I mean, Robinson Earl, he could randomly start, I guess, because the Pels are down so many guys. At 3K flat, just keep an eye on it. If he starts, he's in play, but he doesn't really do a lot, so I don't feel amazing about him. And there's another guy for the Pels that we'll have a little bit more interest in here in a bit. So, all right, Giannis up top at center. We know what to expect there. Center gets really, really bad for the most part after that. Sabonis is due back. Not super interested in playing a possibly limited Sabonis. If we catch wind that he's not like super limited or he's going to play like 28 to 30 minutes, that becomes a little bit more interesting because we know Sabonis can smash in a very short amount of time. So 30 minutes of Sabonis at 9.2K at no ownership to close out the night, that is appealing. Do I feel good about it? No. Do I want to be like severely overweight on it? No. But if he's going to be like 1% owned or whatever, I would not mind getting like 10% Sabonis if I'm max entering and just getting over the field and just getting a couple shares out there to see what happens. The best center play, though, is obviously Jalen Duren. We talked about this the other day when he's facing the same Wizards team. In 24 minutes, he had 36 fantasy points. I mean, come on. If he plays a full game, he's absolutely nuking and getting 50 fantasy points. He's always a foul trouble risk. He's always risked to just have his minutes yanked around. And then, of course, the game is a 14-point spread, so it could easily blow out. But he already proved last time out that he can get it done in basically 3 quarters of play. So I do not mind paying 6.9K for him. And the projection looks really, really good. He's going to be owned, though. So the fact that he's going to be owned, that should at least have us thinking about possible pivots or doing something different, which maybe we go up and get Sabonis. Maybe we play Giannis at center. Maybe we go down and get Nick Claxton at 5.2 or Wendell Carter at 4.8. Claxton also and Carter, not really guys that get like a really long leash. They're going to get maybe 30 minutes. So that's always a little bit scary, but Claxton's got like one of the best matchups on the board. I don't love the minutes. I don't love like his actual production of late. Just not really a high usage guy, but the Bulls are a really good matchup that can kind of negate that. So it's like centers against the Wizards, same deal. The Bulls do not do anything to stop you inside. So Nick Claxton looks really good at 5.2. I do not mind getting to him at all. He is carrying ownership, and so is Wendell Carter. So like, you got to just pick your poison, man. Like if both of those guys look decent at 4.8 at 5 and 5.2, but they have like severely capped ceilings, it might be worth it to eat the chalk with Duren instead of eat the chalk with those guys. Because like Claxton, he's even in a smash spot, it's fairly possible he only gets you like 30 to 35 fantasy points. Would that kill you? No, but it doesn't give you massive ceiling in tournaments. Wendell Carter, probably only going to get you about 30 to 35 fantasy points if everything goes perfectly right. Duren, though, can get you 50 fantasy points. So I think Duren's still the play. But those guys are viable if you want to go down and save some cash. You can play Makovic here at 4.2. And the other guy that we want to mention but don't feel at all good about is going to be Mo Bamba at 3K flat. The Pels are very shorthanded here, especially down low. If he gets a spot start at 3K, I do have interest. Do I feel good about it? No, I don't. But at 3K flat, we can take that gamble. All right, that is going to do it for the position by position breakdown. Honestly, right now, like going into the slate when I wrote up my piece for Reddit in the morning, I did say I thought we had to play one of Luka, Giannis, and Cade. I just think all three of those guys have a considerable ceiling. They all come in with the best projection. It's pretty unlikely that all three don't hit on this slate. So I think you probably want one. And the other thing is not just that we have three guys to choose from, but also that there's a ton of value already. It is only 214 Central, so we could have some, shite hit the fan here and change things a little bit, but nothing's really going to change unless these dudes get ruled out. Nothing's going to take away Connect. Nothing's going to take away Cole Anthony or Trey Jones. Nothing's going to take away the Nets. Like if Cam Johnson or Cam Thomas sit, that just opens up more Nets value. There's Kevin Huerter still. Like none of this is going away. These guys all are viable. Makovich is going to be viable no matter what. Moses Moody is in play no matter what. So barring those dudes all sitting and opening up more value, like that's all there already. So I think you have to go get one of Luka, Giannis, or Cade. And you can entertain the idea of pairing two of them too. My favorite strategy though is just to pick one. Right now I am leaning towards Luka overall because if he's going to be that owned and then pop off, you're just going to be dead. So it's always difficult to fade a Luka or a Jokic at massive ownership because if they get like 80 or 90, it's just game over, man. So it's never fun to pay that much money and watch our dude get like 50. I'm with you, but I think this is definitely a slate where we have to go get somebody there. I don't mind doing multiple, builds here where you're going with like Cade with your top guy or even Banchero as your top guy or something if you're into Banchero. And like I said, I do like Curry and I'd be overweight on the field there, but I think picking one of those guys and I'm leaning Luka makes a lot of sense. In terms of flag plant, like based off of ownership, honestly, a lot of the guys I like are just owned. So it's like really hard to gain like a natural edge unless like we get an updated ownership and things are significantly different than what we expect. Just trying to quickly see like, yeah, all these value guys, everybody's gonna be on them. There's no secrets so far that we really need to be, keep an eye on. I guess like Mo Bamba at 3K, like right now his ownership isn't picking up any steam, probably for a good reason. So I guess Curry would be the one. Curry would be the one at 7% ownership. He feels a little bit more palatable than somebody like Zion at a similar price point, and he feels a lot safer than somebody like Sabonis. So I think Sabonis, Curry, and Zion are probably the most interesting spends to get different with. But I think Curry overall is the one that I'd be overweight on and feel the best about. All right, that is going to do it for me. Hopefully this helps you out, just talking through process and things like that. We can do it a lot more if you jump into our free Discord. You can hit the link at the bottom of this YouTube video. And then also if you need plays like to build around going into the night, we do have core play packages over on our Patreon. You can check out that link as well. Thanks for watching and good luck. Oh, hit the wrong button.